My name is Ed Smither. I'm professor of intercultural studies at Columbia International University, and I'm author of the book Brazilian Evangelical Missions in the Arab World. Well, for me, the motivation for writing the book started out very personally. About 15 or 16 years ago, I was in a souk in North Africa, and we had some friends from Latin American visiting who were coming to serve the Lord with us in that area. And I noticed right away that these friends from Latin America seemed to have a special connection in the Arab world because of their look, their ability to adapt, and I was impressed by that and even a little bit envious of that. And as I lived and served in North Africa and served alongside friends from Brazil and Latin America, I knew that there was some special Latin-Arab connection. And so fast forwarding years later, when I had the chance to do some academic research on missions from the non-Western or majority world, I thought it would be good to look at what Brazilians are doing in the world, and I focused the study on Brazilian missions in the Arab world. Part of my motivation is to tell their story. Most of missions history is the story of Western missionaries, North American and European missionaries going to Africa and other places, but we don't have enough narrative and story about Latin Americans or Brazilians going into the world. It's about history, culture, practice, and theology. So in one chapter, I write a long chapter on how Brazil in the 19th and 20th century went from being a mission field where we send missionaries to being a mission-sending country, to where starting a few years ago, Brazil was sending out more missionaries than England or Canada. And so I wanted to look at that history. I also spent a couple chapters looking at how Brazilians are adapting culturally in the countries of the Arab world. And while Brazilians have to work to overcome cultural barriers, I was impressed that their views of time, family, relationships, even things like hospitality, were closer to that of their Arab hosts. And so I wanted to explore that and see how that was strategic for missions. I spent a chapter talking about Brazilian mission practice and seeing that Brazilians are very committed to evangelism, but also compassionate humanitarian work. And they're very strategic in things like sports ministry and soccer ministry as well. And then I had kind of a final big chapter on a Brazilian theology of mission. Based on their practice and their background, what are kind of the theological underpinnings to their missions approach? Well, I think in terms of who should read the book, it's globally minded Christians who want to celebrate what God is doing in the global church. I think that Christians in the West, North American Christians, ought to celebrate what God is doing from the Brazilian churches in terms of mission sending. I think also that as North Americans, we have much to learn from what Brazilians are doing in the Arab world. But I also hope that Brazilian mission leaders, Brazilian mission candidates, and others will read this, and hopefully the book provides a framework for self-reflection to where, as they reflect on their past, they have some thoughts toward their future engagement in mission as well.